Saturday morning began unusually. Emily, my wife, had given me advance notice that she had to go to work, and her mother, Margaret Anderson, had come early to sew new curtains in the living room. The curtains were the finishing touch to the apartment renovation. I woke up early, though I could have slept longer. The morning was quiet and peaceful, but not in the sense that weekends usually are. It was the kind of quiet that hinted at a long and uninteresting day ahead. And why so early? I thought, standing under the shower. The mood was so-so, a ruined weekend, after all. My wife had gone to work, and I was hanging around the apartment, lazily sipping coffee, waiting for my mother-in-law. To be honest, our relationship with Margaret had always been cool. It didn't get any murkier than that. Who wants to get wet? My thoughts wandered as I stared out the window, watching the rain beat against the glass. The rhythmic pounding only added to my gloom. But then the doorbell rang. In my heart I was upset. I wanted to spend the day alone. My mother-in-law stood on the doorstep, drenched to the skin, water dripping off her, forming a puddle on the mat. Her face looked a little flushed, but whether it was from the cold or something else, I couldn't tell. She hesitated for a moment before she spoke. "No comment," she said, noticing my surprised look. At that moment she looked very different than usual, without her typical sternness and arrogance. Her hair stuck to her face, and the rainwater made her seem strangely vulnerable, almost delicate. "I thought you weren't coming in this rain," was all I could say as I led her into the apartment. She walked to the bathroom, looked at herself in the mirror, and sighed. She needed to take everything off immediately, or she wouldn't have anything to change into. There was a confusion in her voice that I had never heard before. I'd made an awkward joke about Emily's clothes, saying they wouldn't fit her. Margaret grinned. "Oh, Brian, I never realized you could make jokes like that." Her expression softened, which caught me off guard, as if she was letting her guard down for the first time. She smelled like some new perfume, an unusual, exciting scent. She'd always used the same perfume before, and suddenly it was something new. It was a subtle but noticeable change, and for some reason it intrigued me more than it should have. "Smells good," I said. I don't know why I did it myself. The words just came out, hanging awkwardly in the air between us. "Thanks. New perfume," she replied, somehow especially soft. There was a strange tension hanging in the air. We both sensed something had changed, but couldn't quite put our finger on what. She called my wife, then rummaged through the closet and found some kind of robe. I went into the kitchen to let her get settled, hoping that the feeling of anxiety I was feeling would dissipate. I could hear her walking around the apartment for some reason. The sounds made me nervous. Every creak of the floorboards seemed amplified. I turned on the kettle and grabbed cups, trying to distract myself. When she came out of the bathroom in her robe, I somehow couldn't look away. She looked completely different, cozy, sweet. Her hair slightly disheveled, a light blush on her cheeks. Without her usual strict suit and makeup, she seemed younger and prettier, almost like a stranger to me. We drank tea in the kitchen and talked about the weather, about work, about how fast time flies. She told some stories from her youth that I had never heard before. She laughed, and I had never noticed before what a beautiful laugh she had. It turned out that when she was young, she had taken dance classes and dreamed of being a ballerina. Who would have thought that Margaret Anderson had once dreamed of being a ballerina? This revelation made her seem more human, more real than before. The conversation flowed in ways I hadn't expected. She talked about the discipline and joy of dance, how it had once been her escape from the world. Her eyes lit up when she spoke, and for a brief moment I saw the girl she had once been. It was mesmerizing. I couldn't explain it. We were just sitting next to each other, and something happened between us. Her hand touched mine as she reached for her cup, and I didn't pull it away. The rain outside the window didn't stop. The apartment was quiet. The sound of the rain seemed to envelope us, shutting us out from the rest of the world. We looked at each other, and it was as if the whole world had ceased to exist. Then she got up to leave, but I took her hand, and she didn't resist. We both realized we were doing something irreparable, but we couldn't stop. In that moment, I forgot all about her being my mother-in-law. Her lips were soft and warm, and her hands trembled as she hugged me. That moment seemed timeless, as if it existed beyond good and evil. After that day, everything changed. We pretend it didn't happen, but we both know the truth. Every glance, every casual touch carries the weight of those memories. Every time it rains, I remember that day. I remember her disheveled hair, the smell of her new perfume, the warmth of her hands, and realize that some things are better left in the past. No matter how hard it is, It's impossible to forget. And do we have to? Perhaps some memories are destined to linger, as bittersweet reminders of the moments that define us.